Joining us now to help us break this down, State Senator, Republican, Virginia Beach, Bill DeSteph. Bill served in the military for some time. Senator, great to have you with us.
Good to be with you, John. How are you doing today? I heard Beto O'Rourke's comments and, tragedies that happen all over the place. It's very tragic what happened in El Paso. It's very tragic what happened in Dayton. I've got to tell you, we had the same thing here in Virginia Beach. And if you look at California, you look at Virginia Beach, guns were banned in the building. And you can't get any more restrictive than that. I think we need to get to the underlying problem here, and I believe the underlying problem is a mental health issue. There's no sane individual who wakes up one morning and then walks out and says, I'm going to kill a whole bunch of people today. That's not a sane person who does that. We've got to figure out what's the commonality, what's the switch, what's the catalyst that takes an otherwise sane or somewhat stable individual and puts them in an unstable position where they want to go out and kill everybody.
Are you for any type of legislative action now, Senator, to maybe take a look at this, whether it's extend background checks for high potential rifles, to do what I've said, which is extend the age limit to buy some of these weapons to 25 rather than 18 or 21? Are you in favor of doing anything legislative in order to maybe take a shot that might help?
Hey, John, I think we need to look at everything right now, and we are sending it over. We are doing that. We're sending every concept, every idea we come up with over to the Crime Commission to study it with the subject matter experts and come out with recommendations on what we believe will work the best or what combination will work the best. It's not the time for knee-jerk reactions. It's the time to study it, look at it, figure out what combination is going to be the appropriate response. What's going to work the best? Is it more discipline in schools? Is it more fathers in the families? I don't know, but I will tell you that we're looking at it to figure it out. We're trying to figure out what combination of what will work. I'm not the wrong person. I'm not the one who's going to say, oh, this one particular thing we do will work, because I don't think there's any specific one type of thing you can do that's going to work here. If you look at, New York, the mass bombing there from the suicide bombers, that had absolutely nothing to do with guns. If you look at what happens over in Great Britain, Israel, everywhere we look around the country, Oklahoma, that was a fertilizer bomb in the back of a truck. So we've got to look at the underlying issue here, the societal issue of what makes an otherwise sane individual go and wake up one day and say, you know what, I need to go kill a whole bunch of people today. And that's the underlying issue we need to dig into and try to figure out. And then from there, look at what are the early indicators, how do we intervene, how do we interact, how do we stop it from happening?
I tell you, Senator, I get what you're saying, but you've got an election coming up here in 2 months, right? The Republican Party of Virginia is on the verge of extinction. And we get 2 more of these killings. And again, what you're saying is, let's wait, do a study, and maybe we'll have something in 2021. That might be too late for you guys. If you lose this cycle, Bill.
Let's wait and study it. I'm saying let's study it and let's put facts, let's put science, let's look at what the underlying problem is. Just because just because there's a lot of car accidents doesn't mean we're going to ban cars.
I don't think anybody's talking about banning guns. I'm talking about why not just be in favor of extending the background check for an extra week to anybody buying a high potential rifle? I mean, what is the problem with extending it and making it more rigorous? What is the problem with raising the age limit to buy a high potential weapon to 25? Like, what is wrong with that? What possibly downside could there be? If you look at the Parkland shooting in Florida and you look at what Rick Scott did, next week came out, raised the limit to buy a handgun in Florida to 21. Oh, everybody went nuts over it. Guess what? Rick Scott got elected to the U.S. Senate, beat a liberal, Bill Nelson, former astronaut, been there forever. And the Florida State House kept the State House based on the fact that the guy did something. I mean, it's not taking your guns away because you can't buy a gun in Florida till you're 21. And he said, if you go over the Georgia line and you buy a handgun at 19 and you come back in my state, you're going to jail. Okay, there was outrage over it, but he won and Republicans in Florida won. My point is, why not try something?
Well, in Virginia, you already have to be 21 to buy a handgun. But what we need to do, John, is we need to figure out what's the underlying problem here. You can ban guns. You can ban anything you want. Look at Michigan. Look at, I believe it's Detroit. Look at New York. Look at Milwaukee. You've got states that already have, Chicago, they already have bans on guns, and there's still shootings, but there's also other mass killings. They're using bombs. They're using other things. I think we need to take a hard look at what is the underlying issue here. We have a mental health issue that we keep covering up and we're not addressing head on. We've got a bunch of issues like that. And I believe this is a major mental health issue that we've got to figure out.
How are we going to do that?
I don't know if it comes from mom and dad. I don't know where it comes from. I'm not the subject matter expert on this. But I know we've got a lot of smart people who are very, very intelligent and know what the heck's going on that we need to listen to and figure out how to address the underlying issue. This isn't a gun control issue. This is a mental health issue. If you don't believe me on that, tell me anyone who walks in and decides to kill a whole bunch of people is a sane individual.
No, there's definitely a mental health issue. And I guess what bothers me is you look at this sick kid in Texas outside of Dallas. I mean, there's all kinds of signs that this kid was not, he was off his rocker at 21 years old. All kinds of signs, so what if you said, okay, we're going to now, any background check for a high potential rifle, we're going to have to go through a social media background check. What would be the matter with that? What is the downside of that? Maybe it stops him, maybe not, maybe it's a waste of time. But what is the downside to something as simple as that?
Yeah, again, I don't know, John. I don't know the solution on this. I do know that we've got to try to figure it out. And I don't think there's any one thing that's going to solve this. I think there's multiple things in combination that are going to resolve this issue.
Well, I'd love to see a study come out on that, and you guys come up with something that, mental health's an issue.
We've got the Crime Commission studying it.
What about these video games? Senator, what do you think of these video games?
What is the commonality of the mental health issues? What's the commonality of the individuals who go and do mass shootings, mass bombings, etc.? There's got to be something. There's got to be a commonality there. And I sat with one individual who had studied and done his PhD paper on this. One of the things he came up with, and he did it across the world, he came up with a majority of these individuals are engineers. And I just looked at one of his angles on this. I didn't look at everything on this, but there's a mental health issue that we've got to try to figure out here. I don't know what it is.
Well, what about banning video games or making some kind of rating on them?
I absolutely support putting a rating on video games. I thought there was a rating system on them already.
Yeah, I don't think anybody adheres to it. There is. I shouldn't say that. Okay, there is a rating system because I know when my son wants to buy one, we have to check no one under 17. And there are different ratings. I can't quote what they are. Ann does that, but they are ratings. But I've also had him say, yeah, there's no one under 17, but every one of my friends is playing it. I want to play it too type thing. But look, there's a lot of issues here. My fear is this. If you don't do something, you lose suburban women. If you lose suburban women more than you have now, the Republican Party is extinct in Virginia for a generation. So look, Bill, I'm every day I get on the air and I am ringing the alarm bell, okay? Because if you guys go down in November and you lose the Senate and Kirk Cox is not the speaker and you lose the House, you're not going to get power of either one of these chambers for 50 years. So you know what? Time is running out,
And
Bill. Time's running out.
We're going to lose our right to work. And
you're going to lose everything.
You're going to see large manufacturers move. In my area, Steel Incorporated moved here in 1972 because of the right to work state, because we didn't have unions, because we were the right place to move to. If we lose right to work, that's going to be a travesty here in Virginia Beach. That's going to be a travesty across Virginia. We're the northernmost right to work state today. If we lose that, we're in trouble. You're going to see $15, $20, $25 an hour minimum wages. Yeah, if we lose control, there's going to be a major economic issue in Virginia.
Right.
We're the number one state to do business in today. We're the number 4 for education based on our policies from the last 15 years.
Right.
We've worked very, very hard to take us from number 17 to 13 to wherever we were, all the way up to number 1 on best place to do business. We're also on the education side. We've worked hard to get us up to number 4 in the country.
Right.
You lose the right to work state, we automatically plummet to the bottom.
Yep. That's why the stakes are so high. I mean, if you guys lose and they lose the House, right to work is gone. You're going to have a communist like Lee Carter from Manassas. Nice fella, right? Nice guy. Communist. He's a communist, right? He's going to be in charge of committees. I mean, you got the House has a litany of hardcore left-wing members like Debbie Rodman, who's now running for the Senate. If she wins, you're going to have abortion on demand coming out of the canal. I mean, a baby will be born, and they'll say, "Yeah, it's not for me." I mean, insanity is going to come out of this place, but you'll never be able to raise any money, and you're going to be in the minority forever. So the stakes are really, really high in Virginia, Bill. Don't you agree?
I agree with you, John. This is probably the most important election we've had in that I can remember.
Maybe
I can't
ever.
remember a more important election than this one here.
Maybe ever. Senator DeSteph, we're out of time. Senator Bill DeSteph.
Thanks, Sean. Have a great day.
All right, Senator, thanks for being with us. What's your, well, he's gone. What's your website, Bill?
BillDeSteph.com.
BillDeSteph.com. Hamburgers with Bill is coming up, isn't it? When is that? Burgers with Bill?
A week from tomorrow. It's Tuesday, I think it's the 13th, but a week from tomorrow.
All right, Burgers with Bill. Go to BillDeSteph.com. John Fredericks Radio Network.